You know, those of you who have subscribed to me, are subscribed to me, I should say, and know that I've talked about Bruce Lee before and how he has influenced me and how he has inspired me, you know, in everything I do. He was legit. He was badass. He was somebody who knew what he was doing. He wasn't a creation of Hollywood. He wasn't given all these different masters and martial arts experts to teach him how to throw a kick accurately or throw a punch accurately, for the screen. Leave that to leave that to those amateurs, those actors who don't know a lick of martial arts. They'll get the training and they'll be made to look, legit on screen and that like they know how to kick ass. And there's a lot of actors, actresses who are legit martial artists. And what gets me is these idiots. Don't know if it's this generation or if it's just people out there who honestly want to say that Bruce Lee was just an actor. Really. There's not enough video evidence out there, not enough eyewitnesses, not enough people that he trained and people that he's left behind that can vouch for his authenticity as a martial artist, a skilled martial artist. You know, I was going to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And then there's this article that came up. I am a follower of the Bruce Lee Facebook page, and it is actually administered by his daughter Shannon Lee, and she had a post that had her answer for all the people that are asking questions about what she thinks about this so-called, you know, film that is supposed to be, you know, showing him in the movie training, actors and actresses, namely Sharon Tate, I should say, in preparation for the Wrecking Crew. And this is how the article goes, and I'm going to read the article. And I know there's people out there that go, "Oh, you don't have your own kind of material, so you have to read other people's stuff." No, you know what that is? What this is? This is me quoting, you know, word for word what the person wrote. And the person that did this article is called Tim Malloy for the rep. I give him all of the, you know, props and also give him credit. The title of this article is Bruce Lee's Daughter Saddened by Mockery in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Exclusive. The article reads, and this is Shannon Lee, "It was really uncomfortable to sit in the theater and listen to people laugh at my father," Shannon Lee told the rep. Bruce Lee's daughter, Shannon Lee, says it was disheartening to see Quentin Tarantino depict her father in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as an arrogant a-hole who was full of hot air. You know, the abomination that was Birth of a Dragon, which focused primarily on the Chad McQueen, or not Chad McQueen, but the Steve McQueen character in there, depicted Bruce Lee as a cocky, arrogant asshole, which he wasn't. He was very confident and very, very, proud of his martial arts, and he felt that he was the best. Why not think that way? If you think of that being an arrogant a-hole, then whatever, but this is coming from his daughter, this is coming from her, knowledge of her own father. You know how he was through being told by his friends and family, his mom. But she was only a little bitty thing. She was only about, I believe she was like 4 years old when he died. But through the years and through the confidence of her, family members and friends, Now I continue in the film. Spoilers follow. Brad Pitt stuntman character Cliff Booth trades cocky insults with Bruce Lee, played by Mike Mole, and the two agree to an informal best 2 out of 3 rounds fight on the set of the Green Hornet TV show. Lee easily knocks Booth down in the first round, but in the second, Booth slams Lee into a car, stunning him. The fight is interrupted before the third round. Right away, that does not sound like stories you hear about Bruce Lee. It's like, you know, at this point, Bruce Lee at this point, was, I believe this was even, when he was at the Green Hornet, it was before he created his style, before he had to fight with Wong Jack Man. And that in turn caused him to, reevaluate his fighting techniques, his style, what he needs to do. And that's why he went on the journey to better himself, studying all kinds of different forms of fighting in order to make himself better. And so at this point, I don't know, maybe they're just trying to show that he was someone who could be bested, but then again, I haven't seen this movie and I'm not going to pass judgment in the sense that I'm not going to, I haven't seen the scenes. Maybe I'll look it up. But this has been happening in recent years, starting with that awful film of Birth of the Dragon, and then now this one. Now to continue, Shannon Lee said, "It's disheartening to see your father portrayed as an arrogant blowhard, because in truth, as an Asian American in 1960s Hollywood, he had to work much harder to succeed than Booth and Rick Dalton, Leonardo DiCaprio, the fictional white protagonist of the film. I can understand all the reasoning behind what is portrayed in the movie," she said. "I understand that the two characters are anti-heroes, and this is sort of like a rage fantasy of what would happen. And they're portraying a period of time that clearly had a lot of racism and exclusion." She added, "I understand they want to make the Brad Pitt character this super badass who could beat up Bruce Lee, but they didn't need to treat him in the way that white Hollywood did when he was alive." Now, I've had issues with how everything's being changed up, now, where they're kind of trying to remove the men and the white heroes, and replacing them with women, replacing them with people of different colors. But see, in this day and age, it was something that was happening, but it wasn't like everybody felt the need to do it. Now they feel like it's a trend now. It's trendy to do that now. Yeah, we're going to change up all the men to women, all of the characters, such as James Bond, woman now. Not James Bond, but the 007. Back then, they just didn't have, they honestly didn't feel that an Asian, actor could carry a film, and it's something that's went on from the dawn of Hollywood, the golden age up until that point. And let me continue. A representative for Tarantino didn't immediately respond to a request for comment Monday. Shannon Lee said Tarantino might be trying to make a point about how Lee was stereotyped, but it doesn't come across that way. That's true. He could have been trying to show him in a way, because later on it's going to be addressed, and the person that was added onto this article was kind of wrong about Tarantino, because he loves these kind of films, Hong Kong films, the action, the Hong Kong chopsocky films, you call those, 70s type of martial arts films. And I'll talk about that later because it has come across, and I'll just continue with this article. "He comes across as an arrogant asshole who was full of hot air," she said. "It's not someone who had to fight triple as hard as any of those people did to accomplish what was naturally given to so many others." Let me read that again. "He comes across as an arrogant asshole who was full of hot air," she said, "and not someone who had to fight triple as hard as any of those people did to accomplish what was naturally given to so many others. Shannon Lee saw the film Sunday. It was really uncomfortable to sit in the theater and listen to people laugh at my father. I don't know if that was because it was like uncomfortable laughter because they're seeing someone portraying Bruce Lee and he has the mannerisms and he looks like him and all that, and it's probably that uncomfortable laughter, that laughter that someone's just like like thing, but it's like you know I don't know. But let me continue. She said that her father was often challenged and tried to avoid fights. Here, he's the one with all the puffery, and he's the one challenging Brad Pitt, which is not how he was, she said. She continues her father's legacy through a website, brucelee.com, her Bruce Lee podcast, and the Bruce Lee Foundation. And also, I might add the Bruce Lee Facebook page, which hosts summer camps that teach children about her father's martial arts and philosophy. Bruce Lee Foundation does that. What I'm interested in is raising the consciousness of who Bruce Lee was as a human being and how he lived his life. She has added, all of that was flushed down the toilet in this portrayal and made my father into this arrogant punching bag. She says she understood that many characters in the film are caricatures, but noted that the film didn't make fun of Steve McQueen, who was played by Damian Lewis. She also pointed out that while the Green Hornet ran from 67 to 68, her father's hair and sunglasses are reminiscent of his look in 1970s Enter the Dragon era. That's what I noticed when I seen the commercials, that he didn't look like that during that time. He had short hair, very, very preppy looking. And of course, once he got into the 70s, of course, that was style. Your hair was a little bit longer, wear those big glasses. She said she didn't take issue, however, with Mo, the serious Bruce Lee fan who plays him in the film. He looks like he did a great job in capturing. She says that he did a good job with some of her father's mannerisms and his voice. That's true. But I think he was directed to be a caricature, Shannon Lee said. Matthew Polly writes in his book, Bruce Lee, A Life, that Lee struggled to break into Hollywood even while teaching martial arts to some of its biggest names, including the Queen, Sharon Tate, and her husband, Roman Polanski, all of whom are portrayed in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We also see a quick clip of Lee training Tate, Margot Robbie, for her role in The Wrecking Crew, which he really did do. But he was often overlooked or cast as a sidekick as he was in The Green Hornet. He was even passed over for roles as Asian characters in favor of white actors who pretended to be Asian. Case in point, I came up with the idea of Kung Fu, and it was David Carradine who got the role. And Shannon Lee kind of remedied that by having her own series based on Bruce Lee's original idea. That was actually the premise of Kung Fu, but she did it with the Warrior, and it's something that I have not seen, and I definitely want to check it out. Being busy as I am, I didn't never gotten around to it, and I'm going to intend on watching that series. It just got picked up for a season 2, so it must have been good. Polly was also unimpressed with the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood portrayal of the man he researched for years. The full scene with Bruce and Brad Pitt is far different than was in the trailer. Bruce Lee was often a cocky, strutting braggart, but Tarantino took those traits and exaggerated them to the point of an SNL caricature, Polly said. Like I said, he was cocky, strutting, he was a braggart, but it wasn't in a negative way, you know, because he knew he could back his stuff up, you know. He knew that if anybody challenged him, he would know, he knew how to defeat that person. There's a difference between, those qualities of cocky, strutting, and braggart, and it being a negative way. But Bruce Lee never did it in a negative way, you know. Now, he said the argument that leads into a fight with Booth, in which Lee said he could turn Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, into a cripple, would never have happened. Bruce, he revered Cassius Clay, Ali. He never trash talked him in real life. Bruce never used jumping kicks in actual fight. That's true. Bruce Lee always did the stop kick. He would take the person, his opponent's attempt to try to deliver a kick, and then he would intercept the person as the translation of you know Jeet Kune Do is a way of intercepting fist. That's why he took fencing, because fencing a lot of lunging, so he was able to trap a person's arm and go in, and he never got off his feet. He would always try to stop his opponent right away. He would always try to take a person down, and you saw it in his films, but that was for dramatic effect for the film. Because you're not just gonna have them fighting in the, that's Hollywood. That's the way they depicted it in Bruce Lee's films, but in real life, it wasn't flashy at all. Bruce Lee was his style was meant for the streets. It was street fighting. It was mainly used to put someone down and to stop a fight. To get it. Bruce Lee didn't want to fight long. That's why his fight they had with Wong Jack Man was like what 3 minutes long, and that was far too long. And if those of you who have ever competed in, let's say MMA, let's say boxing, whatever, that's a long time to fight. You know, so yeah, I can definitely understand that, and I can definitely agree with that. And it says continues here, it said even if he did, there wasn't a stuntman in Hollywood fast enough to catch his leg and throw him into a car. Paulie said, and that's true. Now, given how sympathetic Tarantino's portrayal of Steve McQueen, Jay Sebring, and Sharon Tate is, I'm surprised he didn't afford the same courtesy to Lee, the only non-white character in the film. Now, before I continue with this, even in the, you know, in the credits, when you see the trailer for Once Upon a Time in America, you don't even see Mike Mo's name. So it's almost like it's continuing from where Bruce Lee was, where he was kind of shunned, doing it to Mike Mo. He deserves every credit because he's bringing to life and doing a pretty good job of bringing to life Bruce Lee. Now, let me continue. He could have achieved the same effect using Bruce to make Brad Pitt's character look tough without the mockery. That's true. I suspect the reason Tarantino felt the need to take Bruce down a notch is because of Lee's introduction of Eastern martial arts to Hollywood fight choreography represented a threat to the livelihood of old Western stuntmen like Cliff Booth, who's played by Brad Pitt, who were often incapable of adapting to a new era, and the film's nostalgic, revisionist sympathies are entirely with the cowboys. Now, I don't think Tarantino would, you know, feel that he needed to kind of keep Bruce's down by, you know, doing this to his character, just simply because Bruce Lee introduced Eastern martial arts to Hollywood fight choreography. It's like it was a changing time at that time, and it's like it needed that. Talking about the old Western stuntmen, it's like by this time, right now, right, this time wasn't the Westerns kind of on the wayside. We still had John Wayne Westerns in the '70s. The early '70s. He died in '77, but I don't think so. And he was a big fan. Like I said earlier, Tarantino was a big fan of the Chopsaki films, the martial arts films of the '70s. Why do you think he made Kill Bill? It was based on that. Look at the tracksuit that she's wearing, Uma Thurman, inspired by Bruce Lee's film Game of Death. You can see a lot of side-by-side comparisons where when she was fighting that crazy 88, she had a sword up, right? And when she went like this, they all backed up, the crazy 88. And Chinese Connection, which in Hong Kong was known as Fist of Fury, there's a scene where he goes and pose like this, and all the guys back up. It's like I wanted to do a video, a side-by-side comparison of. I watched Kill Bill, and definitely there's a lot of scenes, a lot of looks that's inspired by Bruce Lee films. So I don't agree with the man at this point right here, because I don't think Tarantino would do anything to kind of make a mockery of those Hong Kong films, because he was a fan. You know, he was a fan of that. But Shannon Lee has every right to be upset. she didn't have any kind of word in this. She wasn't. I believe she wasn't even approached by Tarantino, and I guess because Tarantino felt it was a what do you call it? It was a just a short part that her father was going to be portrayed in. But if you're gonna put Bruce Lee in a film, and this thing looks really great. It looks like Tarantino, if he wanted to, he can do a biopic of Bruce Lee because he actually did bring Bruce Lee. I mean, other films, if they would have, other directors, if they would have tried this, they would have kept Bruce Lee out of it and would have just shown Sharon Tate, played by Margot Robbie, filming the film, filming the Wrecking Crew, and not show Bruce Lee. He did this. Then why Tarantino would take liberties with his Bruce Lee's, personality, his look, his, what happened in real life. I mean, Hollywood will do what Hollywood does. They're going to take a certain period of someone's life and they'll exaggerate it. They will Hollywoodize it, as I say, like what happened with, Dragon the Bruce Lee story. A great movie in the sense of a great action film, a great martial arts film, but as a biopic, it was ridiculous. It didn't really do nothing to show the seriousness of Bruce's life. And even Shannon and her mom, were surprised at how it turned out. Like they were like, they didn't think it would be this way. They thought it would be another way, you know. But Jason Scott Lee did an amazing job, and the man is now a certified Jeet Kune Do expert. He started out as a novice, didn't even know anything about it. Was trained by Jerry Boteet, who is a student of Dan Inosanto, who is a direct descendant of Bruce Lee himself, in the sense of an original student turned instructor by Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee certified him as an instructor along with Taki Komura and I believe another individual. So, for those of you out there who want to insist that this isn't a big deal and that it's just Quentin Tarantino's vision and the way he wanted to depict Bruce Lee, well, I personally am sick and tired of the way Bruce Lee is portrayed and how he's being totally just disrespected in recent times right now. Calling him just an actor. He's just an actor. He's not really a martial artist. Oh, really? Let's take a look. Wesley Snipes in Blade. Chloe Grace Moretz in Kick-Ass. What do I call it? Mila Jovovich in like the Fifth Element and the Resident Evil films. Michael Jai White, Tony Jaa, Jet Li, Jackie Chan. The name goes on. Are you gonna call those guys actors? They don't really know martial arts, or is it just because Bruce Lee is such a polarizing figure and he is such a number one top person that everybody knows? You say martial arts, you think Bruce Lee. You think martial arts films, you think Bruce Lee. Since he is the popular one and since he's the well-known one, that's the one that everybody's going to target and say that he was a phony, that he never knew martial arts, he was just an actor. What does that mean? That he pretended to throw kicks, that he pretended to throw punches? That's like a baffling thing to say. Like, oh, he's just an actor. Like, not everything you see on thing is fake, in the sense that if you see somebody, let's say that person is pretending to be a football player. Maybe the guy was a football player. Someone who's a dancer, right? Oh, maybe he's just a fake. He's not really a real dancer. Maybe he is a dancer. It's like, you guys at times, yeah, Hollywood is like a fantasy land, and they make believe and they create all these great worlds and all these wonderful stories and all that stuff, and a lot of it's fake most of the time. But don't just take the fact that you're seeing someone like Bruce Lee on the screen and saying that, oh, that's fake. Of course it is, in the sense that he's not actually killing these guys. He's not actually, you know what I mean? It's like, but rest assured, Bruce Lee is legit. Bruce Lee is someone who has a lot of film, a lot of witnesses, a lot of students, a lot of people that are still living now that were training with him that can tell you he was the man. He was someone who was on another level. And to me, it's like I will not watch this movie because it's like I totally respect the Bruce Lee and also his daughter and his wife, his widow, and I love everything that is Bruce Lee. And people are going to continue to just be, what do you call it? Just to be, you want to call it to be just totally just oblivious to the truth and just want to believe what you want to believe. Why don't you read his book, The Tao of Jeet Kune Do? Why don't you watch some of his interviews? Why don't you just watch his films and analyze the film? Look at what he's doing on screen. One of the greatest fight scenes ever is that of Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris in the Roman Colosseum in Return of the Dragon, which was known as Way of the Dragon in Hong Kong. As you can see, I know a lot about Bruce Lee. I can talk about Bruce Lee for hours, days. This is the one thing that you got your people that know everything about Marvel, everything about DC, everything about Star Wars, everything. I'm fans of all those, but Bruce Lee is my number one. And when people want to say that he's a phony and he's just an actor, that gets my hair up, and I don't have a lot of hair because I shave my head. So you just imagine, you know, when my hair grows back, it gets a little grayer because I'm always hearing this crap from people. I'm pretty sure that Shannon sees that and she's upset about that too. I'm pretty sure her mom, Linda, is upset about that too, because they know how he was. He was legit. He was a real deal. And even now, if he were alive today, no one would still be able to touch him. And he'd be how old now, right? He'd be turning 80 in 2020. And he would still be kicking ass, because he would be on a whole new different level. You imagine 73 when he died. He was always evolving. He never mastered his martial art. He never was satisfied. He was always, continuing to add to his style and to add to. You imagine where Jeet Kune Do would be now. It was an amazing martial art, an amazing way of fighting, and a way of defending yourself, the way of adapting to whatever style comes your way. Whatever fight comes your way, you can adapt to that person and you'll be able to defeat the person. You know, that's why I say, if Shannon Lee ever sees this video, I just want to tell you that all us fans are tired of how your father was depicted in films like Birth of the Dragon and in this film. And then there's other things where they're trying to say that he was nothing, like I said before, nothing but an actor. He was fake, he was phony, and that's why I always go back to that point I said where, so you're going to be calling Jackie Chan a phony, you're going to be calling Michael Jai White, uh, you know, Wesley Snipes and Tony Jaa and Jet Li, are they phonies? We look at the females you have, and like I said, Chloe Grace Moretz and you know Mila Jovovich, they phonies. They're martial arts experts. They're legit too. So I think they would take umbrage to that too if they heard that you want to call somebody phony and he was just an actor. That's just nonsense. It truly is, and this report, this article that I read, it really opened my eyes to just, the reason why, I was interested, but not no more, I gotta pick a side, and I'm picking Bruce Lee's side. I'm picking Shannon's side, and those of us Bruce Lee fans, those of you who watch my video, don't watch it. Don't watch the film. Because if they're going to depict Bruce Lee as a mockery and they're going to make him an exaggeration of who the man was, yes, it says in there that caricatures of these different actors and actresses, that's what they were. It was a caricature because at times they were not going to do the authentic thing, but at the same time, you can at least put a little bit of realism into Bruce Lee's character as well in this film as he's depicted. Instead of making him the guy who wants to challenge people, which he never did. He was taking on challenges and he would, And he basically like this one. We all remember that story when Enter the Dragon. This guy sitting on top of a wall, tapping his feet, which is like the thing to say that I want to challenge you. Bruce Lee tells him to come off the top of that wall, and Bruce Lee traps his leg, gets him against a wall, and he starts punching him. He gets him down, and he's pretty much telling him, "Do you give up?" Or something to that fact. You know. And the guy, he was able to totally just wipe the floor with him. And then he said, "Yeah, get back up on that wall. You're still hired. You're still going to work." You know, he never just went up to somebody and goes, "Man, I want to challenge you. I want to see how you can take a punch." You know what I mean? He didn't go up to people and go on the street and you know pick a fight with people. It's like people were challenging him. People were trying to make it to where he was a phony, and they're trying to prove that he wasn't really a legit fighter, and he proved over and over again, time after time. John Saxon, who was in Enter the Dragon, Bob Wall, who was in a number of his films. They would tell you straight up that that happened, and Bruce Lee would always turn away the challenge, and he would always better that person and make that person a believer. So those of y'all who want to keep saying this, stop. Then again, you may not stop, and whatever, that's your thing. That's your decision. But those of us who believe in him, and those of us who have experience, in the martial arts, as I do, you know, we feel he is the real deal. So no matter what you say, we always are going to stand behind him and continue to, you know, sing his praises and continue to just keep his name alive because he deserves that. He deserves that. Well, those of you who sat through this, I know it's a bit long, but when I talk about Bruce Lee, I'm passionate about it. And those of you who stopped by and watched the video, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And in closing, and as always, take care.